Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the M365 Council, hosted by yours truly, Orangutech. We're so happy to have you today. It is a beautiful day outside. I hope you have all recovered, have power to your homes. I guess you must have power if you're joining us today. And I hope that everyone stayed safe over what was a crazy weekend. So thankfully today, we have presenting TBS, giving us an update to the GCxchange platform. So next slide. Yeah, so we're in our fourth season here to the M365 Council. We were founded in 2018. We were just a small group of M365 enthusiasts back then. Things have changed. We are now virtual through Teams Live, and reaching masses that I think we only dreamed of back in 2018. So who is Orangutech? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing the council? Well, we're a Microsoft partner and we have 4 competencies. We just got our silver in security, and we're on the road to gold. We just have to complete what feels like a large amount of exams in Azure, but we'll get there. So we're on the road to gold. We're one of Canada's top growing companies, and about 90% of our business is federal government of Canada. So we are a huge proponent of Canada's Cloud First, Government of Canada's Cloud First initiative. We want to be here supporting you through that. And really, what is the council about? Here at Orangutech, we believe that true learning occurs through collaboration, through shared experience. And so we have an opportunity to hear from departments, to hear from teams, to hear from groups sharing their implementations, plans, challenges, lessons learned, and successes within the M365 environment and stack. And we have some real champions in departments right now doing great work and leading the charge in M365, and we want to share that with you today. If you have any questions, please submit them through Teams Live. You'll see there's a Q&A. The Q&A is moderated, so please identify yourself when asking questions. Vote for the questions that you want to see answered, and we'll review Q&A at the end of the presentation. We have our next M365 Council meeting already lined up for next month. It is on June 23rd, the second last Thursday of June. We don't want to get too close to Canada Day. So June 23rd will be the next council meeting. Ian Taylor will be presenting information as a departmental asset, building enterprise IAM and M365. If you may or may not know, Orangutech does a ton of IAM work, information management work, and we really want to highlight where we feel information management is going. So without further ado, presenting today from TBS, we have Tamara Vardomskaya. I knew I was going to battle with this. Vardomskaya, onboarding coordinator for GCxchange, and Vince Piet, onboarding coordinator also at GCxchange. So we also have Mark Donofrio on the line as well if we have any hyper technical questions. So without further ado, I will toss it over to our team at TBS.
Hello, and thank you. And I will share my screen to show you our start our presentation. Somebody make a noise to make sure that that they can see my screen. There we go. So welcome to our GCxchange presentation, and thank you for the M365 Council. And so some of you would have seen a similar presentation in 2021, and some of you may not. So I'm aiming this presentation to have new information for both of you. And to give the talk in a nutshell, we're going to do a little recap from where we were in 2021 and introduce those who were not there, like Vincent and myself, to what GCxchange is and what its product is. And we're going to explain how we've changed since then, what have moved ahead 2022 and our improved onboarding process. And then Vincent is going to walk us through an actual demo of the product after I do the presentation deck spiel. And we'll talk about the ecosystem that this product functions in among the new GC tools. So GCxchange is a new collaboration platform. It aims to collaborate in real time, so it's chat and show news with public servants across all departments. So its goal is to break down silos between departments to let people, public servants who are interested in the same things, talk to each other. It's built on its own M365 environment. It was piloted in 2021 with over 250 public servants from 16 departments. And as I will elaborate later, we are still working on continuously improving it as more public servants join in. And we launched onboarding with TBS as the first department. And currently we have over 9,000 users across close to 100 departments. And now we're expanding our onboarding to not just target departments and communities, to also target thematic hubs and also just individual users, because we have found some interesting use cases for that as well. Is GCxchange. So you can just look at the slide, but I like explaining it as a theater. I was a theater kid. And in a theater, you talk about front of house and back of house. The front of house being where the audience comes in. They see the promotional posters for the new shows. They read the reviews about the stars. They buy their tickets. They buy their popcorn. They come in and see the stage. And that is the SharePoint side of GCxchange. It allows you to your community or your department or your thematic hub to share what you are about, to brag about your achievements, to profile important people, to discuss new events, to share articles, to share stories, all that, to everyone across the Government of Canada who is on GCxchange. And then there's the back of house. The back of house is where the magic actually gets made. That's the rehearsals. That's the set building. That's where the actors put on their makeup and their costumes, and that's where the show gets created. And that part is Microsoft Teams for GCxchange. It is a Teams environment where only members of the community or the department access, but is cross-departmental, unlike the Teams environments that are for your specific department, like TBS or ISED, so that together, government employees can co-author documents in real time with only the members of their community being able to see them, but being able to together work on the same document instead of emailing version 365 final to each other that way. It allows those communities can be joined across the public service so that you can join in on things that are similar. Like, for example, HR representatives across the departments can join with each other, or the Black Employees Network can get together Black employees to be able to share their experiences. And it allows you to read news stories and communications from different departments so that you know what is going on, that you don't have a complete silo about anything that doesn't make the nightly news in the Government of Canada. And we in the public service don't want things making the nightly news, because there's never good things about it. And it allows you to access GC-wide corporate tools like pay and careers just in one button. I only use GCxchange for that now because the previous path to finding out my pay was way more complicated. And it allows you to just be your one-stop shop for any GCxchange GC information through its combination of SharePoint in the front of house and Teams on the back of house. So our updates for those of you who have been here before and are wondering what have we done since 2021. We're developing an automated approach to registration of GC users. Currently, we have a much improved registration process that Vincent will show you in the demo. That is about the easiest registration process I've encountered for any website. We're expanding partnership with the TBS communications team. So the communications people who are brilliant are helping work with us to design thematic hub content, and are bringing together other communications teams and presenting departmental information. We are, and this is crucial because no GC tool has been able to do this before, we're developing a way to offer protected B status to the communities. Currently, everything on GCxchange, just like with any other GC tool, is unclassified. Basically, if you don't want to shout it from the top of the TBS building, don't put it on GCxchange, is how I put it. But there is a high demand to allow departmental content that is also protected B content, and we are working on that. It is a matter of months till we get it. And to allow users to create their communities without help, with zero coding, with drag and drop only. We have a space creation wizard, a user-friendly tool that basically allows you to create a community in literally 30 seconds and be able to design it at the same time really easily, and at the same time allowing you a vast amount of creativity in how you can do it. And the users have created absolutely beautiful community pages with that space creation wizard. So we are working, we are always keeping digital standards in mind, which are to design with users in mind. And currently in the audience, we have Jordana Globerman, who is our UX design, principal UX design manager. And she has been doing an immense amount of work with users to improve the user experience still further. We are striving for continuously improving everything. We are never done. If we want to make sure that we hear the users' voices as to what can be done to make this better. This is open by default is a term we hear a lot. We want everyone in the government to know what we're about. We don't want to keep any secrets from here. And doing that, we want to use open standards and solutions, but at the same time, we want to work with security and privacy at the same time. We want to build an accessibility from the start, and we keep refining this as we find out more about what that entails and how we can serve different communities that have different accessibility requirements. We want to empower our staff to deliver better services, and we want to be good data stewards as well as and be ethical and to collaborate widely. GCxchange is about bringing together government employees for collaboration. So how did we do this? So let me walk you through a few case studies. So we design with users. We regularly gather and monitor user feedback. We do analytics every week. We do large amounts of user experience testing. And Vincent and I, every week we have from 1 to like 4 demos with different communities as we bring them together. And we tell them about GCxchange, and we want to hear what they want to use it for. We take down notes on what their community members would like out of GCxchange. And if we can think of a way to bring that for them, we suggest it to them. And if we don't, that very day, we bring it to our developers and say, there's users who would like this feature. How can we get this and make this real? And that way we try to continuously improve and be open to different approaches in improving the user experience by listening to the user and not getting fixed into the plan as it is written down and be able to pivot as needed. Now, examples of this will be creating the establishing the GC tools as an ecosystem, fixing our onboarding, creating our content creation, improving our onboarding. So currently we are thinking of the GC tools and GCxchange as functioning as an ecosystem with GC Connects, GCpedia, GC Collab, GC Message. We want to improve the current GCxchange experience with additional user testing and research, and to look for how users of the other GC tools use their functionalities and what essential things we can rebuild in GCxchange and what things we can encourage the ecosystem to use. And so we can add further features to the ecosystem, which none of the tools are supplying right now, because we are listening to user needs. So this is a conceptual diagram of how the GCX ecosystem allows different benefits. You can see that this cloud shaped in the blue sky because it's all in the cloud. And among the things that GCxchange is offering are thematic hubs, cross-departmental collaboration, an application ecosystem, protected bee communities, and automated registration. Some of these things are still pie in the sky. They are coming, but they are not there yet. But we do have them fitting into our vision of how GCxchange will be. We're on our way to getting them. So when we first conceived GCxchange, and probably what we told you about in 2021, we were conceiving it as having departmental content and community content. We realized since that there is a demand for further refinement of the community concept of having a community of communities, which is what we're calling the thematic hubs. Currently, our first thematic hub is live. It's the Diversity and Inclusion Hub, and it includes various communities across the government that focus on diversity initiatives, such as the Knowledge Circle for Indigenous Inclusion, such as the Public Service Pride Network, such as the Jewish Public Servants Network, such as the Muslim Federal Employees Network, joining together to work on diversity inclusion issues so that they can share events with each other, they can talk to each other, they can share articles, they can share important information, and just basically building new connections and seeing what would happen. We're in the process of designing a few more thematic hubs, such as one that I'm really passionate about, one for data science. It allows data-focused communities in Health Canada, for example, to talk to data-focused communities in the IRCC, talk to data-focused communities in Fisheries and Oceans or Environment Canada, for people to bring their heads together to see how they can handle large data. There's accessibility in the works. There's truth and reconciliation. So let us show you an example of what this looks like. So as you can see in the GCxchange screen, I think up that you have the option of home, which brings you to your homepage, and departments, communities, and thematic hubs. Currently, the one that gets there is the Diversity and Inclusion Hub. And we have a beautiful design for it with our made by our communications team that allows you different communities to come together, and it provides a list of communities. It promotes the events that each of those communities can host, and it also shows issues across the government of Canada. Now, I've talked enough. It's time for a takeover from my colleague, Vincent Piet, to show you how this actually works in practice. He's going to go to a live demo of this. Vincent, take it away.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Am I audible to you right now? Just want to make sure I'm audible. Is that a...
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. I will go ahead and share my screen at this point, and just rearrange my configuration real quick. There we go. So once again, thank you, Tamara, for bringing us through some of the updates, some of the upcoming stuff that will be going, that GCxchange will be going through. My name is Vincent Piet. I'm one of two onboarding coordinators for GCxchange. Our role, Tamara and myself, our role is to provide excellent client service experiences to the people using the platform. We do demos and presentations, but we also, one of our main functions is to bring people's wish lists and problems to the developers and the people that are making improvements to the platform. And you'll see that I'll just go through a live demonstration of some of the features, but the main goal of GCxchange and all of the GC tools is to improve government's ability to work as one with less boundaries. So you'll see that we want to improve engagement across the GC, and you'll see with the advent of Microsoft Teams, I find it's been a lot easier to use these products, the linking products that we have, and SharePoint has been around for a long time. So these two tools combined together can empower public servants. They're already familiar tools, and you'll in the demonstration I'll show a little bit about how easy it is to use and how convenient it is. And Tamara mentioned this before. That the GCxchange was built with the 4 pillars of accessibility, user experience, security, and communication and engagement as top of mind. And it's intended as a one-stop shop for all public servants. And it's still an evolution. So we are evolving with our users, with the people who are using the platform. They give us the feedback that we need. We take into consideration those 4 pillars, and then we forge ahead with the next iteration. And it is an iterative process. And you'll see that so far, we're learning just as much from the users as the users are learning from the platform itself. So I'm just going to switch over to GCxchange and the registration process. So some of the improvements that have occurred and that are still ongoing for the platform, one of them was the actual registration process. Now, this demonstration will be conducted in English, but please feel free to use the official language of your choice whenever you're asking questions. Our entire team is bilingual and perfectly capable on peut répondre vos questions en français ou en anglais. So the registration process is an accessible link that most people are able to access, and it is e-reader friendly. And you just need to, very simple steps, English or French, put in your departmental address, and if you would like an additional email address to which notifications will be sent to, you can add that. You'll notice that most of the time the department will be auto-filled, but you can actually pick it from a drop-down list, and then you click on register. Tamara said that it's one of the simplest registration processes, and I dare to agree with her. It's pretty simple. Usually what will happen is that you don't need to wait around. Well, you will actually have to wait around for a confirmation email as your profile is being created in the background. But once you receive that email, you'll be provided links to the platform itself and some tutorial material, some additional materials, the user agreement and all that other good stuff that goes along with registering to a new product. So what we've done in the past is that this registration was a little bit more onerous. We've reduced the number of steps, and once you're registered, it's extremely easy to switch between your actual departmental teams and your GCxchange Teams tenant. So this is Microsoft Teams, the browser version. I wouldn't be able to switch this because I'm currently using my departmental teams at the moment, but with the browser version, I'm actually able to switch between my treasury board, my departmental teams tenant, and my GCxchange. So right now I'm still on GCxchange. So this is, as soon as you're on GCxchange, interdepartmental. Any chats that you have are chats with people from across the GOC. I have people from ESDC, I've got people from Health Canada. The teams that I have over here are also part and parcel of the interdepartmental nature of GCxchange. All of these teams that I'm a member of are interdepartmental teams or communities that are available to anybody who's registered to GCxchange. So now that being said, one of the biggest features, I'm not going to go through all of the platform. I'd rather concentrate on what has been popular as of late. And one of the biggest things is people are creating community pages in spades. We currently have over 300 community pages from a wide variety of interests, a wide variety of usefulness. And I just wanted to show that we've put a lot of work into making this process as easy as possible. So this is the home page. I'll just click on communities and you'll see that right away. The first top of mind thing is creating a community. So we actually want people to actually go in and have people create pages where they can showcase their work, share useful programs or files, coordinate with passion projects, and share interests interdepartmentally. So I'd ask you a question. What are you passionate about? Do you or anyone you know have a project or project aimed at public servants or a cause that you'd like to advance? Is there anything that you're passionate about that you would want to advance interdepartmentally? This is the place for you. If it's interdepartmental, the audience that you're thinking of, that's great. As long as you're trying to replace your intranet, this is the place to be. So I'm just going to click on the Create a Community button and show you how easy it is to actually create a community. You just click on Let's Go. You choose your template, and right now there's only one generic template. We are coming up with others. So for now, I hope you like the color blue. I'll click on Next, and we've made it so that we have to adhere to certain constraints. For example, we have to put bilingual names for the communities. So for example, I'm just putting this as an example or a use case. the Ottawa Carpool for public servants. So this would probably be, I'll just click on next and then just put in an English description, a French description, as well as an English and French name in the previous step. So it's basically this, the goal for this page would be to actually, coordinate with other public servants from all the departments in the National Capital Region that would like to set up carpool activities. So I'm just going to put in my business reason and interdepartmental space to connect with others and effectively set up carpooling activities. I'll click on next. The only other constraint is that you have to have 2 owners. So I'm going to put Tamara in here. 2 or more owners. Now this is actually, part of the issues that other users have encountered with other tools is that as soon as somebody leaves a department, ownership of pages like on GCxchnage or GC Collab doesn't transfer to the next person. It stays with that person. So that causes sometimes sites to be either abandoned or the ownership path to be unclear. We've eliminated that with being able to easily manage ownership of your pages. So I'll just click on next. It does a review and submit, and then you click on let's do this. And what usually happens is that our client service team will receive the request, and then you'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours. And boom, you'll receive a link saying this is where your community page is, and you can start customizing it. So once again, anyone can create a community. As soon as you're registered, you can go ahead and create a community. There's very few prerequisites for creating a community. And as long as your intent is to share knowledge among public servants and even just common interests, this is a great place to actually do it. And we do have a lot of support for community creation. If you go into the support page in communities, we have a lot of aid links and how-tos. We also have, if I go back to support, we also have monthly Ask Me Anything sessions, so you can actually sign up and add these events to your calendar. Now, speaking of which, one of the things that I wanted to do a live demonstration of is, let me just see, is how to create an events page. Now, the tutorials that we have, these are actual videos that are posted. Very, very engaging, very well done, and very, very short. I myself am not a web designer. I'm not a programmer. I'm somewhat tech savvy, but it's not a requirement for this platform. And that's why I wanted to show you how easy it is. If you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a pain in the rear to actually do a page, it's actually fairly easy to do. And we have the tutorials. Basically, this one, how to upgrade your community, was very informative, and it's all I actually use to actually be able to show you how to set up a page right now. So I'm just going to go into our sandbox community called the Glorious Community. This is a page that Tamara and I use for demonstration purposes. And I'm going to create a new site page for events. So let's go ahead. It's creating it right now, and I'm able to edit it. So I'm just going to put in events. I'm going to remove my name and see how easy it is to actually customize. So I can edit the web part. It's all web part based. So if you've ever used SharePoint in the web part process, it's really easy to use. I'll center the events page. I don't want to put my name or email address there. And that's pretty much it for the look and feel. I can actually add an image here, and you can actually, there's the library of stock images. So I'm going to put event and then look up. Oh, there we go. People clapping. That looks nice. I'll insert that. You can even change the focal point. So you can actually have it like, oh, I don't want the hand right there. I want it a little bit more off center. There we go. Now, this is where I can actually add more sections here. I'll just put in right now for the events, 1/3 right, left, and it's all like click and drag, like Tamara mentioned. Now I'm just going to put in the web part that I want, which is the events web part. And there we go. It comes up, and any events that you've saved on your page can actually be put in on this actual web part. So I'm going to put coming soon. Go, and then I'll save as draft. And then from there, if I wanted to add an event, just click on add event and create the event for whatever date. So let's say in July 13th. The address we can put, you can actually put physical addresses if you're actually doing a meeting someplace. So let's just put another council meeting. I'm not sure if this was the date that you mentioned, Eric, but I'm just making this up for now. I'll just put in a link address, and this is an address that could be MS Teams. It could be anything. It's all linkable. The display name, put register now, and you can actually categorize these meetings, or you can either put in business, meeting, whatever, and then you just put in a description. And you can actually make this somewhat fancy by, bolding or changing the text to being a header or whatever. And then you click on save. And then that saves the event, but I'll have to go back to the community page. And let me just go back here, site contents. So I'm going back to the events page, and this is just how, SharePoint works. And I had zero idea how to use this stuff beforehand, but it's fairly easy to use. And you'll see that, oh, there we go. We have June 15th and July 13th. You can even change the style of the web part. So I'm going to go and edit it. It's a little bit too big and chunky, so I'm going to go ahead and edit the web part to make it compact, a little bit more compact. On this side, I'm going to add event. So, sorry, let's delete that. I meant to actually add a countdown timer. Build some anticipation, right? So you can actually next event in, and then it'll do a countdown. You can actually add a description. You can actually change it from, how many days till the next event. And you can actually set up your counter to be whatever date and time. So I can actually put it like a week from now. There we go. In 6 days, we're going to have an event. Not only that, but I'm going to add another section, which is a vertical section, which I've seen on other sites, and you'll notice that we do have a lot of social media on here, web parts. So I'll add a Twitter feed. I'm just going to quickly add the TBS Canada Twitter feed onto here. So that's Canada, and there we go. It's loading. You can actually change the theme color so that it's dark or light. And I'm going to put the Twitter header on there. There we go. I'm going to click on publish. And there we go. So you can actually, it's fairly easy to actually set up. I have no programming knowledge. I just went through the tutorials and I was able to do this in just the 5-10 minutes that I had for this presentation. So even without a web design background, it's very easy to do. The web parts, like you can actually customize not only like websites like this, but if I show you some of the other communities that are out there, for example, the Living Digital community, a very well designed website, and it's actually the tutorial on how to build a website just like this is in the tutorial videos, and you can have very, very fancy pages like the bios that we have right here for the Living Digital people. So very, very great creative people. These people have helped out a great deal with building up the Living Digital site, but also other sites on GCxchange. You can share articles, events, speaker Q&As. It's all there for you, and you can actually build this. It really is amazing. The tutorial is about a half-hour long, and Laura Ferguson, who is the person who actually did the tutorials, it doesn't take a long time to do. So anywho, so the tutorials are there to support your early learning. However, the GCxchange client service team, of which I am part, is there to provide further support in the form of demonstrations like the one I'm conducting right now, or additional support on how to strategize your change into GCxchange. Other places to reach out include GCxchange itself, and you'll see that our welcome form is actually right here. So people who have questions, they get automatically, as soon as you register, you're in this welcome form for a number of days, and then you're able to ask questions right away. And usually our response time has been pretty good. We can actually show you the amount of responses that we've had in the past 30 days or 90 days. So a lot of usage out of this site with a lot of engagement across a great many amount of users. We also have the GCxchange ambassadors page where we share files for people to help propagate information. So public or VIP videos, whatever content that you actually want to put on GCxchange, it is shareable interdepartmentally. So what else is popular is chatting and collaborating with colleagues outside your department. So I mentioned that before. It's one of the basic things that I find appealing about the platform, and something that you might find good for yourself. Whenever somebody leaves the department, instead of sending them an email, meet them on GCxchange. You can actually even, meet them via GCxchange and do a video chat. You can meet people. You can do chats, whatever, on this platform just as easily as you can on your departmental Teams tenant. So, and another great thing that once you have built a community, so if you're building a community page, either on a shared interest, a program that you want to promote across the GOC, you can actually start monitoring these teams. So anybody who becomes a member of your team, and you don't actually need to have a membership, but if you do envision membership amongst your team, you can actually conduct this GC product management actually has a very active community where they're actually posting Q&As for their members, and just sharing information. So I would like to leave some time for a back and forth. That's pretty much it for my live demonstration. I guess I'll go back to just our slideshow right here. I'll just leave this up for people to maybe drive the conversation. So I'll just hand it back to Eric, and I believe he wanted to do moderating duties at this point in time.
Thank you, Vince. Tamara, excellent job. Great work on the presentation, as well as great work on GCxchange. We have a host of questions. Mark and Jordana have been busy in the text Q&A, getting those answered. So I am going to maybe I don't know how we want to do this, just because I still want there to be dialogue. For anyone watching the recording after, I want them to hear the questions as well. So Mark, Jordana, if you want to expand on any of your answers, this would be a great time to do so. I'm going to kind of go from top to bottom. Victoria asked, how does the open by default work with the sharing of protected B information and the privacy security risk? Mark answered in the chat. Content owners have the option to display information openly. GCxchange is unclassified, but Pro B community space will be available soon. Mark, do you want to expand on sort of that Pro B unclassified discussion, if you'd like?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is really interesting work being done in the background by our developers and Marco Sad, our architect. Currently, as we saw in the presentation, when you come into GCxchange, most of the content you see, especially the website content, is open by default and viewable by anybody. When you create a community, You do have a small private team to manage your content, but generally the idea is that people publish things openly on the pages, kind of like GCpedia for those familiar. So that being said, we have been working in the background on getting a Pro B functionality built into GCxchange. The platform will remain open and unclassified as a whole. What we're looking at doing is offering Pro B spaces for community. So when you create a community, eventually or very soon, you'll be able to select if you want to stay unclassified and in the open, or if you want closed Pro B community where all of your content is restricted to Pro B level and access as well. So that work is still in development, so we can't really answer yet exactly how it's going to function and trickle down. We can assure people, though, that if, for example, if you're sharing a file from a Pro B community to a user of GCxchange, there will be some type of identity verification to make sure this person is supposed to see this specific content, whether they're community member or they have the the Pro B access, things like that. That's still to be kind of hammered out and worked on, but that's coming very soon.
Great.
Yeah, I hope that answers fully.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. It's I know it's a topic on everybody's mind, Pro B, as we move to M365. Vince, Jordana, Tamara, if you have anything to add, feel free to just cut me off, get right in there, add what you guys need to add. We'll move to the next one here. And Jordana, I think this one's for you, as we're talking about accessibility, building in accessibility from the start, including persons with disabilities in your UX test groups. Are you actively testing? Jordana, if you want to give us a little bit of maybe some information on how you are thinking about accessibility when it comes to GCxchange.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start by saying I joined the team about 2 months ago now, so beginning of April. So we are just starting a lot of that more in-depth monitored UX testing, but there was significant UX research done at the beginning. That research, though, was more unmoderated and evaluations. So at that point, early on, there was accessibility evaluation conducted on the website. And since then, whenever we're building out a feature, we certainly do consider accommodations and different devices that would work with the platform. So we're always testing for that, as well as tabbing and things like that. But we do need to do more. So we will be doing more UX testing with persons with disabilities. Most recently, one of the biggest accessibility changes we've made to the website has been the capitalization in the body copy. So it seems like a small thing probably to most people, like if you don't or do capitalize the first 3 letters of the word, but it was actually, there was quite a bit of debate around it. And the reason being, a lot of screen readers will read as like just if you don't capitalize it, the screen readers don't know that you're supposed to pronounce each letter individually. And so by changing this, it actually ensures that people can understand that they're on the right platform. So it actually does have a huge impact on the user. So that's one thing that we've done. We've also looked at some of the tabbing on the website and the different levels of navigation. And so we are streamlining some of the navigation options. We have like a sidebar that came with the package that we had at the beginning, and we're streamlining that so it still has all the functionality that it's required to have when you're using the Teams version of the platform, but we're going to simplify it on the SharePoint. Because it does confuse the levels of navigation when you're tapping across the page. So we have made significant accessibility changes, but like I said, we have a long ways to go with everything. And you're always improving when you're building something that's huge like this and has this many different users. So we are looking to do more. And if anyone here also is using the website and notices anything, we really welcome any feedback on things that can be improved.
Thank you, Jordana, with a very thorough response. I know that we all have a lot to learn, right, when it comes to accessibility, and some things are surprising, right? I guess you probably didn't foresee the capital letters, but here we are, right? So doing great work there. Another question here, or a comment from Chris Jaja. Brilliant work. Love the direction and the way that you're continually improving. So to the team at TBS, great job. Chris approves. How are you planning? I think this is a question for you, Mark. How are you planning on exporting data from the tenant? I think we had another exporting question as well. I guess that might be a hot topic. Mark, if you want to talk about exporting data and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I took a stab at that one. It's something that we still have to build into the platform. Officially, according to our terms of service and how we kind of position the platform, is that it should be transitory information. So ideally, you shouldn't have to export from GCxchange. You should be exporting from GC Docs or other, your emails, things like that. Whatever's in GCxchange is something for sharing to the larger audience and not really meant for saving data. We understand, though, however, the reality is that this will happen. There will be litigations, there will be ATIPs, there's going to be requests for export of data. We've had discussions about this informally to kind of see where we can go with the technology. There's two ways to go about it. One is to give community owners and content owners the tools to do the export themselves. So that's one way we're going to go about it. And on a larger scale, of course, we could do manual exports for now. So that's why I kind of said at the end, if you do have any specific request, or maybe that was an addendum to another question about the export, but our team is very ready and willing to help users with export of data. But that's a great request, and I think that's something we need to take a look at on our to-do to embellish the functionalities.
Great, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Another question for you, Mark. How do you plan to avoid ROT in overlapping GC Connects and GC Collab communities? I know you mentioned you set up automated IM rules that were not available in the other tools. Communities with no activity are removed after 2 years. Chats are removed after 6 months. Anything you want to expand on that? I feel like that answers the question.
Yeah. No, nothing really to expand than to say this is something that was very interesting to me. I do manage the help desk for those tools as well as GC Connect. So I've heard from the users, and we hear your pain of like, there's so much information that's no longer relevant. It's no longer managed. The people are not even in government anymore. The people meaning the content owners. So when we started, when I got into the pilot project, it was already top of mind. Some of the developers that worked on the GC tools are now with GCxchange as well. So they're also very understanding and sensitive to that. Is how do we make sure as a team that, or as a platform, that the content stays relevant. So of course we want to give the tools as it's going to be a recurring theme whenever we talk about the content, but we want to give the tools to the content owners. Really, we're trying to enable and empower content owners on the platforms without approval or moderation for them to share their information. But that being said, in this case, we are able to set some IM policies because of the Microsoft tech. So we evaluated things in the pilot phase and got user feedback. What we decided on is, and this is not like a hard rule, but platform-wide, it's after 2 years of inactivity, communities are deleted and chats are removed after 6 months. We are very open to reevaluating that. There's some things coming on the horizon which will make us change that, of course, like official communities where they have to have their information stay there a long time. They may not be as active, but their content remains important and has to be viewable long term. So we may set some custom controls, especially as we start offering things like Pro B communities. So we may kind of tack on extra functionalities with with relation to IM. So I guess I had a lot more to say.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. It's never a simple answer, right? So, I mean, back to approval and moderation. A question that came after from Emma. When a community creation is submitted to the TBS team, is a member of the team reviewing and approving the creation of the community? The answer is yes, that is the case. Client service team reviews the submission, make sure that the platform being used for its actual use, not selling supplements out of their garage, which is a shame. I'll have to find somewhere else to sell my supplements. Victoria asked, how will IM be incorporated? I think that was sort of, we sort of tackled that earlier, Mark, talking about sort of some IM rules. We have another exporting data question, which I believe we hit. And Emma asked another great question. Is there any plan or thinking to eventually retire any of the GC tools as GCxchange continues to develop and gain users? Or is the intention for all GC tools to be maintained in this ecosystem? So Mark, is there anything you wanted to add on that?
So this is a doozy, and I love talking about this, and I love talking about this internally because it's a huge topic of debate. The future, what is the future, right? We do see GCxchange as the future in terms of its scope of functionality and reach and interoperability with local tools, because everybody has MS Teams and ideally everybody has or will have access to SharePoint pages. So we really do see GCxchange as the future collaboration and communication platform. And there's other things connecting to that we're working on. I'm just going to tease that there. But this is a huge project that we think that scope is not yet kind of set. As we build the functionalities and the access and increase the reach of the platform, we do want to position ourselves where the users are or need us. So I definitely think the scope is going to expand greatly. What does that mean for legacy products like the GC tools? For the immediate, we really don't want to pigeonhole ourselves in a timeline or shutdown of anything when we're ramping up a new platform. We're very user focused, and we don't want to force people off a platform too early, especially if the new platform is missing some key functionality that you use and love. That being said, just at a overall strategic level, this is an internal tool. So we are looking at other internal tools that may overlap, like GCxchnage and Pedia. So that's what I tried to explain in my answers. GCxchnage and Pedia are the ones we're evaluating right now. We really don't want to talk yet about shutdown versus integration, because there's a lot of work to be done to see what can be integrated and what can be shut down. You can't shut down stuff that's in active use and critical. Same thing with integration. We need to look at how it works with GCxchange. But those are the two kind of being evaluated. Collab serves a very critical external function. So it's safe to say that we're going to be reinvesting in that one and refreshing it and keeping it at least for years, just because there's quite nothing like it. It kind of corners the market on having something that's available to the public internet to anybody around the world, any government, any level of Canadian government, but also any government in the world.
If I can't, may I add something, Mark?
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say for like the user perspective, for anyone who's asking, because like they use those tools, I think the key thing is that no functionality that you love, that you're using, that's useful to you will like just disappear. Like that's not going to happen. Either it will be reinvented the way it is, or it'll become a part of GCxchange. But I don't think users need to worry about anything disappearing on them or anything going away. Yeah, like Mark said, like that, how that happens is like being built and in flux, but for what it matters to the individual person on the platform, the things that you love about the platform will exist either in an iteration of how they currently are or somewhere else.
Great, thanks, Jordana and Mark, for adding to that question. Allison commented, data export via Purview. They've been asked to submit a design request to Microsoft to address data residency issues with the export tool. So it sounds like that has been addressed. And are you one last question? We're buttoned right up at the end here. One last question. Are you planning on absorbing GC intranet content as well eventually, which also I feel might be would be a big undertaking?
Yeah, so that one I could take if nobody minds. We're not evaluating that or planning that currently, as far as I'm aware, and in all of our discussions, it's just not on the table. Where the reasoning there is, contrary to the GC tools, it's not one of our products. Its reach is much bigger and maintained by each department. So it's not like a one thing to move into GCxchange. So we're not currently evaluating that, but that being said, I do think, and in our kind of testing and work, GCxchange it has the potential to do so, but we're not there at all. I hate saying no. It's like it doesn't feel natural, but currently that's what it is.
Fair enough. Thanks, Mark. Great work, team. Mark, Jordana, thanks for chiming in on the questions there. Vince, Tamara, great presentation. Appreciate the level of effort that went into that presentation. We are coming up right at the end here. If you have any questions, any additional questions, Vince posted a link to the support portal as well as the support email. I'm sure they're happy to take additional questions and support you guys with on your GCxchange journey. So thank you, everyone. We'll wrap it up here. Appreciate everybody's time. Again, GCxchange team, thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. Our next council meeting next month on the 23rd. I will see you all there. Thanks. Have a great afternoon.